Try to walk on soon.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our special City Commission meeting, Monday, August 4th, 2025, starting at 6:01 p.m. Call to order and roll call, City Clerk.
Commissioner McCutcheon.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Here online.
Commissioner Watts.
Present.
Vice Mayor Michelle.
Here.
Mayor Berry.
Present. Although it's not on special, we will still have our invocation, and I'm asking Commissioner McCutcheon to do our invocation, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come at this very moment to give you thanks, first of all, and glory and praise for our being here tonight. We thank you that we have the presence of mind, Father God, to take care of the concerns of our citizens in our great city. We ask that you grant us wisdom in all that we say and all that we do. And we pray that, Lord God, you will be in our midst in this meeting tonight. You be glorified, God, in everything that we say and everything that we do, because we represent you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will go to item 6, public forum, citizen comments, which shall be three minutes per person on agenda items.
Who got the list?
Actually, we say that they can go up to 6. Okay. So it's 6:03. Yes.
I think we need to wait until 6:05 before we pick up the list.
So something has to change with that. It needs to be changed. If we give them time, and we always get to that point before.
You actually still have 30 minutes. Public comment total. You have 30 minutes to go to the public forum. So we haven't passed. 3 minutes. Well, we didn't think we talked about it last time, right?
No, that's not what we discussed.
So, Attorney Smith, I think what's being said right now is that anyone who comes in, the way the agenda is set up right now, they get up until 6:05 p.m. to sign in before we pull the agenda. If we pull it early, in your policies that you've been following already state that they get until 6:05 p.m. to sign in. We need to kind of halt and wait until 6:05 comes before we move past public comment, or they won't be able to speak. So we just kind of have to wait off another at least 30 seconds. I think what the mayor is suggesting for the commission to discuss is that possibly either change the sign-in time back, but that means you will be, giving them less time, and the commission can vote on that.
I recognize that the public forum, the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, so. Correct.
Right.
So at this point, if there were 20 people here or 100 people here, they could all speak. So it could go over 30 minutes. So what I would say this time is if you guys want to vote on another policy, you can do that. But for tonight's purposes, we have to wait until 6:05.
I agree with 6:05. That's what we've always advertised.
Okay.
Decided.
It's 6:05, so we can get the list.
Jan Bagnell.
Thank you. Jan Bagnell, 905 Fourth Street. Also, thank you, Nicole, for sending this information. I know you've got a lot of stuff working on, so I appreciate it. But one thing I actually have a question for is, I'm trying to figure out how a 2-week contract is a legal contract that's never been voted on, signed by you, Mr. Mayor, and the lawyer. The terms were put up to be offered. The contract was never voted on. That is a sunshine violation for not discussing the full contract in the sunshine. So I think that contract actually should be null and void. Also, I want to point out one more thing. Commissioner Williams actually not being here, according to Florida law, bar is not allowed to vote. It is stated, and Tom Todd is our attorney. It has to be for medical reasons only, and with prior permission from the commission. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next person. Should I respond to that? What he should? Anyone? That's it.
Ben Spate. Sorry about that.
Ben Spate, 613 Northeast 3rd Street. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My comments rather than questions. We have an assistant city manager, and in my opinion, if that person has the credentials, then they probably ought to be the first person that we go to fill these vacancies instead of hiring people to do these searches. So I would urge you to consider that. In the contract that I see that you have, Mr. Brown, you reflect the revised compensation and continued term through December of 25 or until a permanent city manager is selected and appointed by the city commission. I think you need to take that out. That is going to get you in a lot of trouble. If you decide in December that for some reason you do not want the person that you have, they have a contract. Unless you have at that point in time appointed a new city manager, you'd have a hard time getting rid of that person, or a harder time, because he has a contract. So until the other person shows up, I think you need to stick to $12,000. I've heard something about a 3-day week. I don't know when we have started allowing executives in a business to only show up 3 days a week, but that doesn't fly here. It needs to be a full-time city manager. We've tried that, and I don't think it works. So I urge you to change that. I would also suggest that if you are going to raise the money, then you absolutely have to have 5 days a week. That needs to be spelled out. I spent quite a bit of time this morning reading on the internet, researching the applicant, and I found a lot of good information, and I found a lot of information that was not so good. I don't know if the rest of you have done that. I don't know who the group or firm was that recommended the top people to interview, but I do see some things in there that are concerning, and I think that should guide your decision. I know you, or we as a city, got into some trouble with the previous, not Mr. Dean, because there were bad things. 3 minutes already.
Yes, sir.
God, I hate it when that happens.
Teresa Keene.
Teresa Keene, 809 Ridgewood Drive, North.
Miss Teresa, would you pull that mic down? Miss Teresa. Yep.
Does it really work?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sitting on the front row and I never can hear a complete conversation. I mean, we might as well be sitting in the other room over there. We cannot hear. You mumble to yourself or something, and if we're gonna be allowed to be here at meetings, we need to be able to hear all of what you're saying. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thanks,
ma'am.
Tracy.
Next person.
That's it.
Okay, so if there be no one else, we'll close public forum and go into item D, which is new business. D1, resolution.
Resolution 2025-82, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, ratifying an amended agreement with Howard W. Brown Jr. for services as interim city manager, authorizing revised compensation terms, providing for an extended term through December 2025 or until a permanent city manager is appointed, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date. Now, Mr. Mayor, before you begin into the discussions, I know you're gonna, have the one that you wanna have on the record. If there are any questions of me legally, then I can speak to them as you pose them to me.
Okay. Are you referring to like pose the questions now?
So you can, it's hard, it's your meeting, so it's however you want, you can do the same thing, but I just want the council to know that I can answer questions about this agreement and the prior agreement.
Gotcha. Commissioner Watts, any questions?
I didn't have some questions.
Thank you.
This is which contract is going to be the interim, it's final, the 5-month interim or the 2-week?
So it's whichever one you want to ask me questions
I
about.
would talk about the 2-week.
Okay.
Why do we have this 2-week?
So we have a 2-week, well, it's not a 2-week contract. I believe it's a 3-week contract.
I got the 2, you might have changed it to 3.
So before this commission, you guys voted on some particular terms that were set forth for FCCMA to be able to put out an advertisement. Those terms stated that the interim city manager would get a total compensation of $12,000. Now, that compensation was actually $10,000. And I'd like to look at the audience too, just so you guys can hear me. But, cause that's really who this is for, the public. So the $10,000 was the actual compensation. The $2,000 is for travel, accommodations, and things of that nature. So I'm not sure how many meetings ago that was, but I believe it was 3. It could be 2, yeah, but whenever that meeting took place, that advertisement was voted on and accepted by this commission. So those terms were locked in. The only way that those terms will be overturned is if this commission comes back and states that they no longer want those terms for compensation. So that's one of the reasons why we're here now. So the first thing is we entered into that contract because you guys voted on those terms, and that was the resolution that was passed. Thereafter, when you came back at the next meeting, you actually chose a city manager from the individuals that FCCMA put forth. And there were 3 motions that were done that day. The first motion that was done that day, I want to say, was done by Commissioner McCutcheon. And she voted to have the interim city manager Brown in place, and her motion stated that she wanted the attorney to be able to do negotiations. However, that motion was withdrawn, right? So that means that motion failed. It couldn't go forward. A subsequent motion was made, I believe, by Commissioner McCutcheon, and it was passed to put in Ms. Ladner in the event that negotiations fell through, and this interim city manager, Brown, did not accept. He had to accept on the terms that were already there and that were voted on. So I did not have the authority to be able to change that. Let me just finish this point. Within that same motion, Commissioner McCutcheon said that the word negotiation, so that's pretty key. So I am going to say this for the public and the commission. I do believe that I have negotiation authority because you gave it to me and it passed. However, I do not believe that my negotiation authority is going to supersede or something that's going to be in conflict with the resolution that was already passed. So that means that if I can negotiate for terms, because that advertisement also stated it was up to 5 months. So it could not exceed a 5-month period. So that's the advertisement that this commission voted on. So that's the term that I could negotiate something that's up 2, but not over the 5 months. So because this commission needed to approve something that I don't believe that I have authority to negotiate because it would be in conflict with the pay scale that you guys had already approved, that's how the 3-week contract got in place. And if I'm wrong on the 3 weeks, what I'll say is the contract that ends on August 13th. That's how that got into place.
If I may.
Yes.
And it's under my reading research, it always has been the case that the attorney does not agree, has authority to negotiate dollars.
Correct.
It can only be done by the commission.
That's correct.
The fact being that the contract itself was never brought back to discuss. How did he get a contract signed?
So he got a contract because when that motion was made, so the first motion was withdrawn, the second motion was made, and there was a third motion that was made to approve and bring him in with those terms. So the only thing we were doing was executing the terms in the agreement which the commission already had voted on. So that's how it was legal.
So what did you offer? What was in the contract you offered to begin with?
So the contract that he, yes, so the contract that he was presented with was for the compensation of $12,000 and yeah, so 12,000 total, 10,000 is the base pay for the wage, and that's just a little bit different because of how you calculate some other things, and $2,000, which is not a wage, but it's for the travel and the accommodations.
But how did we get to 14?
So we're not at $14,000, and I got to be clear on that. I, as an attorney, do not believe that I have any authority to change compensation because you guys voted on that 2 meetings back, so I can't do that. However, the interim city manager is allowed to talk to each one of you all, and he can come back and he can ask for something additional. If you guys approve it, you can do that. You can direct me to negotiate or do otherwise. That's why we're here now, because I cannot negotiate for $14,000 or any amount of money that's over what you guys have already approved.
So say now that the 2-week contract, or 3-week contract, turns out to be, like my verbiage read 2. It's okay. It was not ever approved. So how does he have a contract?
So the $12,000 wage contract, it was approved. It was approved with the third motion. It was approved by this commission.
The contract?
Yes.
We were never presented the contract, discussed in the sunshine, nor did we take a vote on approval of the contract.
You were presented the terms.
We presented some terms to negotiate with, the beginning point of negotiations.
Okay.
The contract, what's negotiated, has to come back to the commission in a set meeting under this sunshine law, and for discussion and approval by the state commission.
So the terms,
So he doesn't have a contract.
so the terms that were entered into are the terms that this commission approved and agreed on, and said they were entering into a contract with him. That's my understanding of it. His contract is legal.
Do we need a legal opinion from the Attorney General's office or the Ethics Commission? Because the borough is supposed to come back and discuss in the sunshine for transparency purposes, in order to have public input,
Yes.
transparency, and then final approval given. We have time to discuss the contract if we don't like it.
Yes. And in transparency, for the public and for the commission, there isn't anything that's in his contract that was not already put on the line for the public to see or have input on.
So my question to you is, what part of that contract that you think was not discussed when we approved it?
We did not come back and negotiate contracts.
So listen, give me a second. So at this point, we have public forum closed, so I would appreciate if you refrain from speaking out. Thank you. Go ahead.
At the point of negotiating contract, negotiations have been reached. A formalized contract should be sent to the city commission, brought back to the city commission, to be discussed in a public forum or public setting, in the sunshine, and then approved, discussed by the commission in public, and then approved.
So
that's the law.
So we discussed it already,
We
and we
did not
said
discuss
that
the negotiated contract.
There was nothing in that contract that is different from what we discussed. Please identify what's different. I'm telling you, we're speaking with Mr.
The,
Watts.
what is, the contract has to come back to a public session. It did.
It did. We discussed it prior to it going out. We actually laid it out. Any of the qualified. Okay. All right.
We
So
did not.
we did not.
We did not give her terms to negotiate.
Hold on a second. Let me gain control of this meeting. Okay? One person will speak at a time. Once you've identified what part of the contract that is not in accordance with what we discussed, I'll then go to Commissioner Williams. I'm sorry, Commissioner McCutcheon. I apologize.
Basically, just a statement. It didn't come back to us.
My question is, what part?
That was the answer. That's the legal part.
Okay. So are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Okay. I think what, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you don't have a problem doing that, but don't want to be corrected. When we had our last meeting, our HR, our legal, they presented to us the terms that FCCMA submitted to the public. Mr. Brown responded to those terms, correct? The 10 and the 2. Our HR personnel stated that the 10,000 a month, the 2,000 for, the extra benefits or what have you, they presented that in the form of a resolution. We took a vote. I think you were the only dissenting vote, Mr. Watts, and we're okay with that. It was a 4-1 to approve those terms that were presented to us on that night. So it didn't have to come back, Mr. Watts, because it was presented in that meeting and we voted on it. The public had an opportunity to speak on it that night if they chose to do so. It was presented to us in black and white. There was nothing hidden. There was nothing in that contract, in those terms, and I and this commission, we gave the attorney the authority to negotiate anything else except for income. And she did not. She did not. And she even stated that the terms that were here presented to us on that night were the same as Mr. Drongo. So those terms were already presented to us in this commission. In this commission meeting, you were the only dissenting vote, okay? But to answer your question, it didn't have to come back because it was already presented and voted on.
Process approaches to the General's office and the Board of Commissioners for legal opinion and to avoid us getting any deeper into sunshine violations.
And we are not.
Yes, we are. In my interpretation, and I agree, I could be wrong.
But last time I checked, and you have one right here that we're paying for.
What I can do is I can go ahead and check on that and get that opinion for you too.
Okay. And with the names we already talked to, don't call the ethics or the Attorney General's office.
Attorney General's office.
Because we already talked to them, so.
Yeah, so I can do that. So just for the public, for the record purposes, Commissioner Watts is asking for a separate legal opinion, and we can contact the Attorney General's office for that, so I will do that.
So that being said, I would think the item A, or the first item of the contract here on the agenda should be tabled or postponed. Postponed.
Okay,
Until the legal opinion has been received.
At this time, I want to offer Commissioner.
Well, I have a problem with what I read that our attorney did, Makisha, that it's not 3 days a week for 14 grand is a lot of money. And I was under the impression when we made this deal that it was going to be 5 days a week for 10,000 and 2,000 expenses, which I still think is a heck of a lot, but I agreed to it. So I'm going to stick to it. So that's pretty much my opinion. And I thought when we voted on this that you were just going to come back to us
and we would vote on it then. I didn't know you were gonna fill out a 3-week contract, because we appointed an assistant city manager to fill in, if I'm not mistaken.
We did not.
We
Yes,
did
we
not.
did.
So,
We gave you this, Amy.
Okay, so I would appreciate it if you allow him to finish. Okay?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
So that was my opinion, that we hired Amy to, the assistant city manager to fill in until you had a bona fide contract that you would come back with us and not present it to us and give this gentleman 3 weeks. I mean, that's my biggest complaint.
So I can respond to that. He is not up under a 3-day-a-week contract. So there's nothing in the contract that ends on August 13th that says he's here for 3 days. There's nothing in that contract that says he gets $14,000. His contract says that he gets $12,000, and that's it, and it's in his name. So it is the term that you guys voted on. There's nothing about 3 days in that contract at all. Now, for clarity purposes, there is another contract that's before you today, and I see you looking at that. So we're talking about 2 different contracts here. So you're gonna hear me reference the first contract as the one that ends on August 13th. So the one that was entered into, that ends on August 13th, that he's up under now, does not say anything about 3 days, and it does not exceed the $12,000. So that's for clarity purposes to clear that up. So I haven't done anything different in that regard. Now, the new contract that he's proposing that's in front of you, that I don't have the authority at all to approve, it has to come before this board, because number one, the terms would be different, and the public would be able to get up and comment on that, and they could comment on that before you all take a vote. So let me explain that, because I've told actually all the commissioners that your public forum is for you to come up and talk about things that are not on the agenda. That is not a time for you to come up and talk about things that are on the agenda. Number 2, when you come up before a vote is done, the mayor, after discussion with the commission, and this is the law, will turn and then he will say to the rule of parliament, is there anything that the public would like to say? So then you guys would come up then and you can say what you would need to say before they actually vote. And then we have hearings and ordinances, but that's a whole nother thing, right? You can get up and talk to that. So I haven't changed any of those terms. So he is here under what was voted on that night. Nothing is different. Now for this second contract, here are some different terms that he's proposing. Since I think that may have been like the disconnect, Commissioner Shell. So I'll explain that, and I'll go to the delegation part also. So in this contract that's up now, he's proposing $14,000 total as compensation, right? Not $12,000. And he is proposing to put into the contract that he will be able to work 3 days per week. Now, let me give you the legal authority on that. I cannot negotiate that part at all. Whether you ask me to or he asks me to, and I've already stated that, that is because he is an independent contractor, as your prior interim city managers has been. He is not your city manager, which is a W-2 employee, and one of the very distinct differences between a W-2 and a 1099 employee is you don't give them set days and set times, because if you do, then we'd have a lawsuit that we could face for different expenses that we owe because we didn't categorize them appropriately, right? And so when they come in as an interim basis, so this isn't anything that I have made up myself, this is in line with your charter and things of that nature. They don't get any benefits. So because they don't get any benefits at all, they're not a W-2 employee. If he was coming in as your city manager, he would be a W-2 employee. He would be entitled to benefits and things of that nature. He is not. He is interim. So because he is interim, I can't negotiate at all of 3 days. Now, so I was going to tell the commission that anyway. As a matter of fact, all these conversations that I'm having now, I've had with each commissioner individually. So just for the record. So let me say this. If you guys were to allow the 3 days to be put in there, right, you don't have to take my legal advice. I tell people that too. I don't tell you what to do. I just give you the legal advice, and then you guys choose to act as a body. So if you chose to keep the 3 days in his contract and state it out, then that's what you chose to do. But if you don't choose to do that, then you don't choose to do that. What I'm telling you is that as a 1099 independent contractor, we can't, as a body, say when a person can come and not be in violation of the law. So that's my answer for that. Now, the part about Ms. Wheeler having, like some type of delegation authority, I believe it was brought up, and I forget which commissioner brought up and said, hey, do we need to go ahead and pick a second person to do some things and come in and kind of take over? And my advice at that time was, you can, but if you do, you're basically picking a city manager, and you've already chosen a city manager, so you wouldn't need to do that. So Ms. Wheeler was never put in place. There was never a motion that was passed and that was put in place for her to have that delegation authority at all. So I haven't done anything different there either, because that's not what happened. Now, I don't think the clerk has the minutes yet available.
Mr. Watts, if you would please stop interrupting.
But I would say that once she gets the minutes available and all of these are recorded, then you guys could go back and it's on YouTube and watch it. But it's right there. I can't make up something that you actually can go back and look at and watch. So she wasn't given that authority. Does that answer your concerns, Commissioner Shell?
Yes, ma'am, but I do have a question.
Okay.
I think Mr. Burke, who's in the audience, he worked 5 days a week when he was here.
Yeah, and they may, and I will say this too, Mr. Drumgo came in on those 3 days a week, and from my understanding is he quickly went up to 4 and 5 days a week, and he said that, so he was here much more than 3 days.
He also went down to 2.
He did go down to 2.
Good night.
No. 1 second. Commissioner Williams, do you have any comment?
Sorry, Mayor, I can't hear you. I was looking at your mouth. I think you were giving me the opportunity to speak.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm just interested in moving forward, Mr. Mayor, so I don't have any comments directly other than what our next step is.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. You go ahead.
Okay, who made the decision to advertise W-2 or 1099 employee?
I don't recall any.
Mr. Watts. Mr. Watts, if you could pull your mic.
I don't think it was advertised.
So what I recall from the advertisement is, I believe, right in this packet. So let's go to that page. It should be in the. It should have been inside of the staff report. So this is what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to have you go to D3, because I believe that's where it should be at. So I know we haven't gotten there yet, but I'm just kind of giving this out for the public. We have 3. Sorry, it should be D3. So we have 3 things on the agenda for tonight, right? And so I think in this advertisement, I actually put the advertisement term up in here. So it's in the resolution. All right, so if you go to page 2, the resolution is kind of pretty long, but I'm sorry, go to page 2 of the resolution. Then you're gonna see where it says section 2, general authority. So if you go there to section 2, that gives you in full the whole prior advertisement that was there, and I put it there so you could go back and you could read it and you could look at it. The only thing that's missing is the compensation, because again, you guys set the compensation or whatnot, even though they gave you. So go to D3, and then actually go to the resolution, not the staff report. And so it's 2025-84. And so yeah, go to that second page right there. That's it right there. Go down to where it says general authority. All right, so right there, this gives you the original advertisement. So I put the original advertisement there so that you guys could all see it. And then what I did, just in case that this is the way you go, because I never know which way you're gonna go, I also put in there that if you did another advertisement, then I would suggest that some language go in there that say compensation is non-negotiable and different things of that nature. But again, it depends on, how you guys vote and how your motion is made. But that's where it states it right there. So there isn't anywhere in that advertisement that says you're advertising for a W-2 employee or a 1099. But in line with your charter and what's been consistent, your interim city managers don't come in generally and get any type of compensation that's going to be for their health benefits, that's going to be for their dental or anything like that. We're not paying into their retirement. So usually when we're not doing that, they are going to be a 1099 employee. Now, if you want to hire them subsequently another way, then you all can make that motion, that can pass, and then they would get some compensation and some benefits in that regard. And I think usually it's done that way because the amount of money that you're going to spend for their benefits packet, I had the human resources person pull this up for me. It's upwards of a couple $1,000s a month. So I believe that's probably why you guys haven't paid it in the past, but that would be just a good guess.
We're W-2 employees. I know Mr. Jumbo was not. Other than that, they've been W-2. Who made the decision to go forward with the 1099?
So there wasn't anybody that put a motion and a vote up to say, let's go forward with the 1099. It was done based on your past practice and you guys not giving him any compensation at all for his dental and his health.
Okay, I think we could have advertised W-2.
So do you mean in hindsight, because we all agreed to what the advertisement would be?
We did.
Okay, so moving forward, we can add that as she suggested, moving forward. But you can't say you think something should have happened when you actually voted on it. You voted on it.
The W-2, the 1099 employee was not in the advertisement.
Correct, but you voted on it. So if you wanted that to be added, you should express that prior to voting on it. Now, in hindsight, looking back, hold on, because I respected him not to interrupt while he was talking, and I'm going to get the same respect. Thank you. So, moving forward, we can add that language if we so choose. Make the motion, okay? Now, I would like for us to get the input of our HR director as to the legal ramifications of W-2 versus 1099 in our approach here. Ms. Nelson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commission. If we want to hire an individual, in this case, it would be the interim city manager, and we want to hire them so that they are W-2 eligible, then we'll need to hire them straight employment, not as a contract employee. Now, what comes with the straight employment is eligibility for benefits, health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, participation in a retirement plan or 401k. So, it is at the will of the commission to determine whether or not they are interested in bearing the additional expense that legally the individual would be entitled to if we hire them as straight employee versus contract.
Okay.
I have some reports.
Say that again.
I have some reports.
All I ask is that you're talking to the mic because they're having a hard time hearing you.
Have some reports. That because the W-2 opposed to 1099. I think you mentioned a while ago that you did poll commissioners before you went further negotiations.
No, I don't do any polling. Actually, when I talk to you all, I tell you don't give me your vote because I don't need it at all. I can't, and we've had several conversations on those matters. I tell you, I can only advise you legally, but I do not need your vote and I don't want your vote. Now, if you share it with me, that's fine, but I don't pass your vote. So what I do have to do though is if he comes back with, anything or any terms, I do share those things with you. So I talk to you because through the city, you are my client, so I'm going to be able to tell you what someone is saying. Now, he can talk to you as well himself, but no, I don't do any polling.
Well, we'll see. Okay?
Is that it?
That's all right now.
Okay.
We'll get to this.
So we're going back to, we're at the item D1, with the discussion. Is there anyone from the public that would like to add further to this discussion? Come to the podium as we normally do.
She has the time.
I would actually like to say that there are terms and conditions in that contract that were not discussed specifically. Let me get the whole contract on top of it. That is why these contracts are supposed to be brought into the public to be voted on, and these are not also included in the resolution. So first of all, independent contractor did not state it or discuss whether he would be a W-2 or 1099. If it's not discussed, it wasn't voted on. It wasn't specifically in the resolution. It was not specifically, it is specifically in the contract, which means the contract is approved, not in sunshine. Scope of services was not discussed. If you're going to approve a contract, your scope of services needs to be laid out to vote on, to make sure that there's no missing scope of services. Fees were not discussed. Professional development was not discussed. Dues and subscriptions to the city were not discussed. Compliance was not discussed. You need to discuss all of these. That's why it's a long contract. It is not a term to approve the main term and say it goes to a contract. That is not legal. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else further who would like to add to the discussion from the public? Please state your name.
Candy Slot, 324 South Watson. I guess I'm just trying to get, so as a 1099 employee, he doesn't have benefits, he's eligible to work his 3 days, and it would be per what's in the, not the existing contract, the one you're voting on would be 14,000. If he works as a W-2, it's, you go back to the 10 plus the 2 at the 12,000, you give him the couple of thousand, but she said it would be a month in benefits, and he works 5 days, and either way, you're coming up to 14,000. One is a W-2, he's working 5 days, and the other is a 1099, and he's working 3. Around about. Right.
Thank you. Come forward, please.
Ben State, 613 Northeast 3rd. I wouldn't think that being a contract employee has anything to do with the number of days. If you're a 1099 employee, you work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Am I correct on that, Madam Attorney?
For an independent contractor?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you just can't, an independent contractor doesn't have a set schedule. You don't say you're gonna work 10 to 4, Monday through Friday. They have autonomy to come and go as they please, but the intent is they're going to get the work done and is going to be performed. That's the difference in how you classify, employees versus whether they're W-2 or 1099. So, as far as I know, he's been here every day. So I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a non-issue, but I am gonna say he's been here every day under the terms that this commission voted on.
Well, it would come to me that whoever we hire needs to be here every day. There's always things that are gonna come up in the city, and the city manager needs to be here. So whatever that means as far as 1099 or W-2, sounds to me like what you should do.
Is there anyone else from the public that would care to weigh in on this discussion? No. Okay.
One quick question for
Go ahead.
What's the tax difference? Is it more lucrative to be a 1099 tax purposes wise or not?
For the individual, to be honest with you, I do not have an answer for that, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm not a CPA. So I couldn't tell you what an individual's tax liability is going to be, and if it's going to be more lucrative for them to be a 1099 versus a W-2 employee.
Mr. Brown, can I direct you, Mr. Brown?
Go ahead.
I know you've been in 1099 for positions, correct? Did you find?
Yes, sir.
Did you find that to be a more tax betterment for you or not?
It really depends on.
I'm just, I'm interested.
Yes, sir. It depends on your tax bracket. It's how you file your personal income tax return or how you file a business tax return.
Right.
So it's dependent upon a number of factors. So it's not lucrative if it's W-2 or 1099. It really depends on how you're legally structured as a business and or how you file your personal income tax return and what your earned income is. So
Thank you.
all right. So as we move towards making a decision on item D01, the only thing I would request is that I'm not opposed to the increase to 14, but I would ask that the language in this item referring to 3 days be removed.
You say to be moved or removed?
Removed.
Okay.
And it reflect the language in the initial contract. If no further discussion, we can move towards a motion. Anybody have any objectives to removing that language?
Well, I mean, we just heard, Attorney Smith state that Mr. Brown would be a 1099. As a 1099 contracted employee, we can't tell him when or when not to show up. He's a 1099 employee based upon the labor law. So I'm not opposed to it being removed, stayed, either way it goes. When Mr. Brown shows up to work, he's working, whether he's 3 days, 5 days, he's getting the job done. That's really what I'm mostly concerned about. His resume speaks for itself. He's qualified, well qualified, and he's getting the job done. So, Mr. Mayor, any other discussion?
If not, Mr. Skiles?
I don't have anything, sir.
Okay. So with that, I would like to hear that back again. You would like to hear what?
What you would do?
1 second. Actually, I can't find it in the new one. So is that verbiage, hold on a second. Is that verbiage in the new contract? Because what I just read, I believe that's the formal contract.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's in the new contract.
Okay. Attorney Smith, could you point out where that's located?
Actually, I don't even see the agreement in my folder, so I'll pull it up on my computer.
Section 8. Section 8, mobility.
Will this be D3?
No, I have it under section 8 under mobility. Brown Junior will be on site a minimum of 3 days per week, a minimum of 3 days per week, minimum 3 days per week. At Mr. Brown's discretion, that says minimum. It didn't say only, it says minimum.
So, just for clarity, this what I was provided tonight does not have that. So we need to be clear on that.
Well, I have the agreement pulled up, so you'll give me a moment just to look at it and see what page it's on.
I really agree. Commissioners, touches, I find no guilty under section 8, so. I read it somewhere, really.
At the top of this, it says resolution 2025-84, which is what I was given.
Yeah, so it would actually be on page 3 of 5. Commissioner McCutcheon is right in section 8 where it says mobility. Do you all have that contract in your?
I do. Commissioner Scales.
I got it. This is what I have, only have up to section.
So I don't have the contract in my packet at all. It was obviously, you guys have had it and got sent to you and disseminated. I'm not sure why it didn't get put in the packet. I don't put the packets together. But we certainly need to get your copies, so if you'll give us one moment, we need to get your copies.
Okay. Commissioner Williams, we're waiting on the updated contract to come out. I didn't have that.
The meeting last meeting, did you take notes? Could you research those notes and refer to me what the action was taken? And authorities and actors, city manager rights to hire the city.
So listen, because we're still open, she would receive all delegated tasks from the city manager. Okay. We're just gonna wait for this to get here and then we'll continue.
So just for record purposes, we obviously do have a lot of new team members. And so in just going through it, it looks like the agreement was not put into the commissioner packets. They are aware of it because they have seen it, but generally speaking, since I've been here, the agreements are placed in the packet, so we're getting copies of those right now, just so that they can see them, because they do need to have them in front of them.
And for transparency, I was provided 2 different ones, so the one that I'm operating on is the one that I received tonight. It may, correct. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Section 2. Up to section 5, there's no section 8. Mr. Spade, please. You can't just come up to the mic and start talking, sir.
I apologize, sir.
Thank you.
May I ask you a question? Just a short one.
Yes, sir.
But
make sure the question is addressed to the commission.
The language that is different in this item, that one place it just says for a 5-month period, and this says or until a new city manager is hired. So that could be 3 years from now. Which would mean that whoever put that language in there has the intent of Mr. Brown becoming a long-term employee.
I will respond by saying, me as one of the commissioners, my objective was to put someone in place who could lead to being that permanent person. That's what I wanted to accomplish, but we went a different direction.
One time the contract read that not to be extended over 5 months.
Well, that's
I know
what
that, I know what they got
the,
changed in the future draft.
the charter says 1 5-month period, and we've already had multiple 5-month periods. And it would seem like that at some point in time, we'd be looking for a city manager rather than an interim city manager.
I think we are.
Okay. So, I'm gonna call for a break and we'll try to reconvene at 7. Okay, it's 6:56 now, and we'll go on recess until 7 or until the paperwork comes. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And at this time, we're going to reconvene, starting at 6:59.
So now I'm going to direct you back to page 3.
Microphone, please.
I'm going to direct you guys back to page 3 of 5. And let me just say this about this microphone issue here. People that are online, when they're listening, when we talk directly into this microphone, our last clerk told us that it gives them a really bad echo and feedback. So the louder you talk here, the less they can hear there. And so she said it was sensitive and you can pull them back. So that's why I try to just project my voice instead so everybody can hear. But section 8, right there at the top, page 3, if you go there, it says Brown Jr. will be on site a minimum of 3 days per week at Brown Jr.'s discretion. The city shall provide Brown Jr. with a city cell phone service, city email address, and laptop for mobile operations. The city understands and contemplates that city business may require ground jury to be off-site at times. So the language that you said take out, if you guys just give me a little bit more direction on what specifically to take out, I am gonna go to the last sentence of section 8. It states that he can be off-site for some business, and I'm gonna just give this insight to the commission. There are times when he can be off-site for meetings or other city businesses and purposes like that. So I don't know any job at all where you're at an executive level where they sit in one place Monday through Friday at a set time. All right, and that's even if they were to go to meet with, say, a lobbyist or whatever, right? And sometimes that happens. So that's why that sentence is in there. However, I'm going to tell you what I always tell you. I don't direct the commission what to do. You direct me what to do, but I've given you how that kind of plays out when we're talking about people doing a job at the executive level. If you were to go off site and go meet with the resident at their, to go see something, or he were to attend another function, he wouldn't be in City Hall. So to kind of dictate that he has to just be in City Hall really limits and narrows how he can effectively do this job if he has to go on site.
Correct. And my reasoning for requesting that is the travel, meetings, all of that is understood in that position. So to have language that says that specifically is not necessary.
Okay.
And I'm referring to on-site a minimum of 3 days per week. That's understood. All those meetings, conferences. Proceed, Mr. Williams, Commissioner Williams.
Question for you. With our previous interim city manager, was this also the language that was included in this agreement that the commission approved, that he could be on site at a minimum of 3 days?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have something?
Very briefly, Dustin Burke, 236 Street Northeast. I think we can simplify this by just saying that the city manager shall devote this full-time attention as he sees fit to the effective management of the city. I mean, and that will satisfy all of it, I think. So if it requires 3 days, it's 3 days. If it requires 6 days, it requires 6 days. But some kind of language that devotes his full-time attention as his, the proper management of the city. That's one I only think. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. And I would point out the difference between the contract that Elise came in under. It was because he specifically could not do it full time, as what we have an understanding of what his availability is. And so we entered into that contract and all agreed upon it. But I don't want specifically to put that language in any future contracts.
Okay.
Because it was under a different circumstance.
I understand. So I can, if I'm hearing the council correctly, I can take out pretty much that entire paragraph, because even the third part of it, the last sentence kind of states what you all just stated and summarizes what the resident came up and stated as well.
And also, can I add this, because I didn't realize that we would have this as particular language, because cell phone, email address, all of that is understood as to what is needed to carry out their functions, especially under the sunshine. We would have to provide those things if we're going to require the record keeping by the city clerk. So to have those things is a part of the duties, is what I'm saying.
Previously said there was striking still to change.
Could you?
comments about it together. There used to be verbiage, I don't know if it's ever taken out of the city manager's contract, that limited him to working with other businesses away from the city for contract. So, it used to be there a long time ago. And so I'd like to review past contracts and see if there's verbiage in contracts, limiting, his direct attention to the city.
I know that, for Mr. Jungo's contract, and even though I didn't create Mr. Dean's contract, I did have to review it. Theirs did not. So what I would do is I would ask the clerk to pull the record of the prior contracts, and then I can get you the answer.
There used to be verbiage in there related to outside world.
And I'm in agreement with that for a permanent solution for our city manager. But for an interim, they may already be engaged in certain activities. Well, we had the opportunity to take all of that into account when we voted to extend it. So that would have been the time to do so. All right. Now, in our full-time search, which Mr. Spake, we are still conducting for a full-time, a permanent solution, which definitely considers who our interim is currently, and not limited, to just being interim. All right. Are we now ready to move forward on this item?
I mean, I just wanted to know if that verbiage is taken out, Mr. Brown. I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you be in agreement?
I'm well aware of what my obligations would be to the town. Okay, I'm not new here.
Yes,
I understand that, I might have to work Saturday and Sunday. And I am used to working like that. So that's not an issue for me at all.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay.
I will entertain a motion on item D01.
Mr. Mayor, I move to ratify the interim city manager agreement with Mr. Howard W. Brown Jr. to reflect the revised compensation and continued term through December 2025, or until a permanent city manager is selected, and removing Section 8, mobility, from the contract to state
The city manager, for the attorney to add language that said the city manager will fulfill all of the duties, as required by the position.
to state what Attorney Smith just stated. I can't remember all that.
Good call.
All right. The said compensation is budgeted in the fiscal year 2025 operating budget.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a proper second? So we have, and you have a question?
Yes, I don't think he's eligible to vote. The second carried along with that.
Okay, so, just giving you a little bit of background on this. For the whole commission, you guys are sent communication, back on maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I just had the email up in front of me. So here we go, let's just address this. You were given a 7-page document with about 8 or 9 case sightings, and you were also given attorney general opinions, and I believe we talked about it at that time too, on the record, as far as what happens when a member is not present. And so here's the rule on that, just for the public purposes and transparency, because this was sent out in a full text also with section 166.041 of the statute. And basically, it came up to the Attorney General because there was a member who was gonna be not, present at the city council, and they wanted to be able to vote and appear via phone, right? So the rule of thumb is, can they do so or do so, you know, if they were on some of the electronic like device, I mean, yes, they can. However, there are some other parameters around it that they've been explained, so I'm gonna explain this to the commission, because we do gotta do a couple more things here. So number one, a quorum would have to be present, right? So to meet the sunshine law, that meant if two individuals were present and one was electronic, then we couldn't have a quorum because the quorum has to be physically here. So we do have a quorum, so that means he could technically vote that way, but it is not up to me, it is up to the commission. So the commission would actually vote, and they would say case by case each time whether or not they want to allow it. Now, what I did is I emailed you guys to say, do you want to come up with a policy on it? Because if you want to create a policy on it, a policy is something that can be applied consistently. What we're having here is we don't have a policy, and that happens in a lot of cases. So we don't have a policy, you kind of got to do this on the fly, which is okay, but I don't think it's the best practice. But again, I can't tell you what to do. I can just advise you that a policy should be created. So now that we're here, and he is choosing to want to vote by telephone, you know, he can do so, but this commission would have to excuse it. Now, usually if it's for something like health reasons or whatnot, they always, you know, defer that you should. However, on one of the cases that I sent you, it also says specifically that you can do it for other reasons, like scheduling, if you believe that that's a good faith-based reason. So you guys would have to make that call, and you would need to vote on whether or not you will allow him to vote by phone in this manner. Now, let me also give you this tidbit. You've done some voting in the past, right? In the same exact manner, and I believe that this came up before, right? So, I don't know how you did it then, but I don't believe you did it in this manner right here. I don't think you guys polled everybody at that time. So I'm always going to say that whenever you do something for one, right, that's just the rule of thumb, then you should consider making sure you do that for the others, because that's what you've done in the past, right? So that's the rule on it. So I would need on the floor, Mayor, some type of motion to say that, you know, whichever way the commission wants to go, because that's the rule of it. And again, you can reference that 7-page memo that I sent you guys about it. Yes, I will.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I move to allow Commissioner Williams to vote in this matter for our special commission meeting Monday, August 4th, 6 p.m.
Question. For Attorney Smith, should our motion be for a policy on it or just for this night?
Well, it should really just be limited for this particular time right now, because we're in a special meeting. So because you can't add other things to the agenda that weren't noticed in the special meeting.
Correct. All right. And so I am in agreement that he should be able to vote as we've done in the past.
I made a motion.
So we have a, I'm sorry. We have a motion and now a second. And
I thought that's what you were doing.
well, I have a question at that point.
I'm sorry.
But I don't mind giving a second if you two will not. Okay? So we have a motion. And then I'll offer a second. No further. Gotcha. So what we're doing now is moving on the advice or the information that Attorney Smith has provided us, which is case by case voting to allow a commissioner to vote in their absence, although they're participating via digitally. And so we have a motion and a second. And now we have a question or discussion from Mr. Watts.
Now, will Commissioner Williams be allowed to vote on this issue or motion, or should he recuse?
You said should be recused?
Yep. Yeah, it's involving him. I mean, just a question. Is it right for him to vote on this matter?
regarding him.
Oh, okay, I think I see the question now. So Commissioner Watts is asking if it's okay for Commissioner Williams to be a part of this vote because it's involving him. And so I think I know the law that you're referencing. So, yeah, that's okay. So normally what happens is, a commissioner is prohibited from voting on anything in which they're going to financially benefit. So because this does not involve a financial benefit, meaning I don't know what compensation he's getting from it, then he would be able to.
Okay, fine, I couldn't do it.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I love the law, I couldn't do it full purpose.
Yeah, it's if you're getting some type of financial benefit from it, you can't. You have to recuse yourself, and in this case, he's not.
Okay, so we have a motion and a proper second. If no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. I didn't do that vote.
So you want to change it to a nay? Okay, it hasn't closed out and moved on, so he can do that.
And all opposed, like sign. Okay. So that motion carries 3-2.
All right. So there was a motion in regard already for the contract. So.
A motion. Did we have a second on that?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second regarding all the verbiage that took place regarding item D01. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signifies by saying like sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2. Okay. Moving on to item D2, which have our resolution read by city attorney.
Resolution 2025-83, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Meade, Florida, directing Citizens Bank and Trust and Truist Bank to implement a dual signatory policy for all city bank accounts, authorizing interim city manager Howard W. Brown Jr. to be added as an authorized signatory, removing Elise Drumgo, designating succession of signatories from city administration and elected officials, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Now, Mr. Mayor, if I may, there are some things that I want to add to this. I've already had these discussions with the interim city manager, but it's however you please if you would like to hear from him first so he can present, and then myself, I just need to be able to state it to you all as well before you take a vote.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, staff, public, Howard Brown Jr. For the record, this item before you tonight is a resolution to approve authority to add me to the bank accounts. There are 3 in total: Citizens Bank and Trust, Truist Bank, Cruise Bank, and it also formalizes your current policy. Right now, all 5 city commissioners are on the bank accounts. What this policy will do, it will take our practice and formalize it. So that means that the city manager, or interim city manager, or vice manager, that person will be authorized to be one of the 2 check signers on all accounts. And the backup to the city manager would be the deputy city clerk. The elected officials will remain on the bank account, but it will be the mayor as the second signature. If the mayor's not available, vice mayor. If the vice mayor's not available, seat 1, seat 2, seat 3, seat 4, in that order. This resolution is necessary. I've seen it work in other communities. What it does, it formalizes your process. It allows for us to communicate with the bank and add me and change and remove the former city manager. And I think it's a good best practice for a small jurisdiction of sorts. And so my recommendation is to approve this resolution as written.
Attorney Smith?
Yes. Thank you so much. While I do believe that it is definitely maybe a best practice, can be looked at as a best practice for small cities, I don't believe that any elected officials should be designated signatories on any city bank accounts. To me, I think this is a matter of separation of powers, and I think that elected officials should not become engaged in day-to-day duties of the city. I think the more consistent way to have this done would be to have the city manager, interim city manager, vice city manager as a signatory. And if the dual signatory process is one where this commission desires to head, then I think that you should have the finance director. And in this case, I know we don't have a finance director right now. However, you should have someone else that's sitting in the finance department. I believe that's currently Miss Olivia Martin. That should be that second signatory. I think when you have elected officials that are involved in this type of manner, it places them directly into what I would consider as operations, and I believe that that could possibly lead to a charter violation. I'm going to be honest with you and say that it's my legal opinion that elected officials act in a legislative, like oversight capacity. You don't engage in administrative or operational functions. So in light of that, that's not my recommendation. I believe it should be limited to just the executive authority, whoever is in that seat, and I think a succession plan for that is okay, as well as your finance person. I believe that it should come back before you each time in a resolution if that happens to change. Now, I'm going to tell you this: Section 7 of your charter actually lists the powers of the city commission. Section 8 lists the powers of the city manager. And if you go down and you look at those, it actually gives you clear direction on where it says who's over the monies. And it is not the city commission. I want to say 5F says the city manager's authorities shall include 5F, collecting and dispersing city monies subject to restrictions of this charter. Your charter already restricts it to if it's something that's unbudgeted, the city manager can allocate up to $25,000 to spend that without your approval. Anything that comes over that has to go through your procurement process and things of that nature. So he would have to bring it before you anyhow for you to approve it. So there serves no purpose at all for an elected official to be listed as a signatory on a bank account. I did talk to the Florida League of Cities about this, and I did talk to 3 or 4 other cities about it as well, and they don't do this. Now, what I'm not saying is that it's not done in other places, because it may be Florida's big. As a matter of fact, USA is big. So there may be some other places where that's done, but that's just my recommendation. Of course, you do not have to take it, right? I just give you my legal opinion on it.
Gotcha. And a question for you. Were you able to speak with Brianna Smith?
Brianna, no, I wasn't able to reach her. It doesn't change my opinion.
Gotcha. I just wanted you to hear the explanation as to why, for accounting purposes, they have that practice.
And can we flesh that out a little bit?
Yes.
And I think where that came from is anyone that's a signatory on a bank account, you don't want them necessarily counting funds. And sometimes when this staff gets a little bit tight, you may have some individuals that may cover. So what I would say is that it should probably just be a practice that's put in place that, obviously complies with that the person, who's up at customer service that counts the money is not the finance person, right? And you just got to make sure that you kind of keep that tight.
And may I go ahead and, for public purposes, have an explanation as to what we currently do in customer service with the counting of money? How that process currently happens.
I'm not prepared to go through that type of detail right tonight, but let me just respond this way. Okay, this is an administrative issue. Okay, what the attorneys give me is legal advice. That's her job. Okay, administratively, this works for you. Okay, there right now you currently sign checks because I'm not able to sign them. Okay, this policy is just that's what it is. If you want to make adjustments to it later, want to change it, that's great. All this does just allows you to ceremoniously sign a check via second signing. It doesn't bring any operations. It doesn't require you to look at the bank. None of you are authorized to go to the bank, but you're signers on it. You've been signers on it. And there are a number of communities all across the state that has this in place. Everyone does these things differently. You can accept legal advice, but I think operations speaking, I do not see how you guys would be involved in the operations by being a second signature on the check. So that's my opinion.
Gotcha.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Commissioner Custer, when you were mayor, Commissioner, you signed the check, right?
I never signed checks.
I
The entire year I was mayor, check never came to me to be signed. Ever. I don't know why. I know everybody else got checks. Commissioner Watts, Scale, Mayor Berry, but it never came to me to be signed.
What about you?
Yes, I have multiple times.
And each of you have signed on the bank account, right?
Yeah, I am a
That's right.
signatory on
That's
the
correct.
bank account.
That's
I did come in and sign the bank
That's correct. And you've been
form,
the council
but
clerk.
I've never signed the
Yes.
check.
And for reference, I can only give you advice on something that comes before me. So as your legal counsel, I'm not involved in your operations and nor am I involved in your administrative functions either. But if something comes my way, if you tell me that it's been done before and I ask and I inquire about it, right, it doesn't mean that I'm going to change my legal advice to be inconsistent with a past practice that I don't think should have been in place. So what I will say is I didn't have any knowledge at all about how this was being run before this came up, right? And that's just it. So for anybody wondering where this advice is coming from, that's where it's coming from. I can only give advice on things that come before me when I find out about it.
I have a question. Has Mr. Drogo been taken off the account?
This is what this does. It removes him in addition to giving signing powers to our deputy city clerk.
And then each one of you guys in succession. So if the mayor is not available, we'll go to the vice mayor, then go to the commissioner of seat 1, and then go to the commissioner of seat 2, and so forth.
And I would say that we've been in some tight situations before, so, you know, the staff was thin. And I accept and I appreciate that. I'm okay with how we have it going. So if anybody have any further discussion, any discussion from the public on this item, want to add to this discussion? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we have the city manager's signature on checks.
And to the bank account.
And to on the bank account.
To all three.
Yes, yes. As a signing of all three. And follow the program that you set forth as far as deputy clerk, and mayor, vice mayor, and
it's right there. It's right there for you.
no, I can't read it. I didn't want to read it on the side. No.
Just want to make sure it's all in there.
I'm just going to read this.
Commissioner Shell, if I may, you can just say you want to make the motion to follow the succession plan that the interim city manager has laid out for staff and elected officials.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I recommend that make a motion that we follow the succession plan that was laid out by the mayor and city officials.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Thank you. Any discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
You must be muted, my friend. Okay, so.
Are you opposed or are you in agreement?
Okay. So, what was it? Motion passes 3-2. You were in favor? Okay. So motion passes 3-2. All right. Next item. Item D03, resolution.
So, before I go through this, I would like to say, I don't know if, Mr. Mayor, if you wanna have a motion or not for it to be removed, just give us some background on it. This resolution was in the event that the city commission did not choose, the term from Mr. Brown, then it would have allowed you guys to have FCCMA look for a different individual under the terms that you wanted, which was the $12,000, and to add some language about compensation not being negotiable. So I don't think it would be moved at this point.
Okay, with that said.
So this resolution was only here in case the agenda item D1 failed. So in case the city commission did not vote to hire Mr. Brown with his terms, I had this here, and I had talked to FCCMA to see if they could come back in and assist you guys.
Gotcha. All right.
I have one question.
Yes.
Why would we not go to y'all?
So, he's accepted your terms. And if we go back, and I believe the clerk is gonna get the minutes on them, I don't wanna rush on the minutes, because I know everybody's probably, those are burning minutes right now. It said if it failed, and if he didn't accept, so if he accepted, she's not default.
Would he have to accept it on a valid contract?
And he did.
We'll see. Thank you.
All right, so even if that's the case, I believe, I don't know what ramifications that prove. However, pursue your endeavor. At this time, we stand to, we got to do what?
Mr. Mayor, I'm moving to
Oh, thank you.
remove item 3, resolution R2025-84, considering, item 1 was approved.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
And a second to remove item D3, resolution R2025-84 from new business. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? None, motion carries. All right. And at this point, we will stand to adjourn our next meeting, August 12th, starting I think at 5:30 with our CRA, 5 o'clock CRA, and then 6 p.m. regular city commission. Thank you guys for attending. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. We are adjourned.
That's all right.
I knew it was gonna take that long.